It's the story of the day on this, the 5th of November, 2024. With an election as close as this one, everything we're hearing is that every vote is going to count. The winner is going to be decided in swing states, possibly by the smallest margins. We have Xoli Mngambi live for us in Washington, D.C., speaking now to Tom Lopach, who's the president and CEO of the Nonpartisan Voter Participation Center, so we can hear more about why it's so important to make sure individuals are eligible to vote and registered and able to have their say on election day. Let's take you live there. Xoli Mngambi standing by in Washington, D.C. Xoli, obviously, a lot of the conversation that I'm sure you're hearing in the U.S. is go out and vote, the message to American citizens.
You're absolutely right, Naledi. In fact, that conversation with Tom Lopach, he is standing next to me. We're going to have it in just a moment. But first, you spoke about every vote counts in this election because of just how tight this race is. And let's go to one of those battleground states. It is in Arizona where we find Toni Waterman. Toni, good afternoon to you. Arizona is one of those that are watched very closely. When are we likely to see the lines, if there are any queues, by the way, at these voting stations, closing this afternoon? And how soon can that state post their results?
Well, the lines in Maricopa County, which includes Phoenix, which is the largest county of all of the swing states, the lines here have actually been exceptionally short today. The elections chief just saying in a press conference that the average wait time right now is just 2 minutes. So it's a very short amount of time. Also saying that the elections and the voting process is running as smoothly as it could possibly be. A lot of people here in Maricopa County, they either vote early or they request an early ballot. So the number of people that are actually showing up on election day is a little bit smaller than you might see in some other locations. In terms of when we are going to start getting some of these results, the first drop is going to happen at 8 p.m. local time. That is 1 hour after the polls close. And that first drop of information is going to include about 70 to 75% of the votes that were cast early, that were cast before today. Then it can take, officials say, up to 13 days to count the remaining ballots. This is for a number of reasons, one of them being that the ballots themselves are exceptionally long this time around, the longest they have been in nearly 2 decades. We're talking about 2 pages, front and back. They have to be filled out by hand and then tabulated. Another reason is because a lot of people may have requested an early ballot, hoping that they were going to drop it off in the weeks leading up to this election, but they haven't, and they are going to drop them off today. And officials say that could be 500,000 ballots coming in. All of those ballots, the signatures, are going to have to be verified, and if there's any discrepancies, officials have 5 days to see about fixing those errors. So that's why it keeps pushing us further and further back. Officials, though, saying that this is normal. This is part of the process here in Arizona and especially in Maricopa County. But the concern, of course, is that any sort of delay is going to feed into these conspiracy theories that there is some sort of rigging taking place.
Toni Waterman, thank you very much. Very important points she makes there, that the longer the counting takes, it could encourage those who want to call the integrity of this election into question. That might give them some room to breathe. And so it is a double-edged sword, so to speak. Well, let's link now to my conversation with Tom Lopach. He is the president and CEO of the Voter Participation Center. Tom, I want to start with the Electoral College. I know you possibly were not going to answer this question, or you didn't think that we were going to ask this question here, but I want to start it there because encouraging people to go out and vote in their numbers, it's a good thing to do on election day. But if the swing states are what really matters, won't people be discouraged anyway, particularly those that are not in those key battleground states? Do you get the sense of my question, the relevance of the Electoral College?
I do, but I think our elections are important up and down the ballot. Certainly the world is paying attention today to our presidential elections, but we also have city councils, school boards, state legislatures, some governors, U.S. Senate, House, and people are voting for all of those races. So while the Electoral College is important and the battleground states are getting a lot of attention, American voters have the opportunity today to have their voices heard up and down the ballot in local, state, and national elections.
The Electoral College, particularly on the back of the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton, she gets the popular vote, but we are told she didn't get enough numbers at the Electoral College. And therefore, the question around the relevance of the Electoral College and whether it is moving with the times. Do you think that was an important debate to have, or has that died down since?
It's a fair question to have, and it is an important discussion for our country to continue to have. And while we're having that discussion, the best thing people can do is to turn out and vote. And in those states where the Electoral College will make a larger difference, it's vital that folks in the battleground states turn out and vote the full ballot so their voices are heard.
Let's talk then about how easy or difficult it's been in this election to get people out to vote, because when all is said and done, voter turnout is going to be one of the key talking points, and that is why Donald Trump and Kamala Harris were almost frantic in the last hours before today, crisscrossing to the various swing states. How difficult or easy has it been to get people out to vote?
You know, since July, when there was a change on the Democratic side of the ticket, a lot of voters across the country, in both parties as well as independent voters, have been incredibly keyed in on this election and paying attention. The organizations I run use high-volume direct mail and digital to encourage people to vote. This month, we sent 114 million pieces of mail to encourage people to vote and to give them all the information they need to know where to vote, when to vote, and if they need to bring an identification or not to vote.
I know that Elon Musk, he is someone who openly supports the Trump campaign. He was in Pennsylvania, and that is one of possibly the most important battleground states. And the understanding is that whoever wins that state may possibly have the election in the bag. He's out there almost doing a lottery to say, if you get out to vote, and I guess there's some system that he's going to be using, you will be the one lucky winner. Purely by getting out of your house to go and vote, you may be eligible to win 1 million rand. Is that something that's encouraged?
I would not think that's encouraged.
Sorry, I said 1 million rand, $1 million.
I grew up in one of the states we call Montana, and in Montana, folks are not always looking for outside celebrities to tell them what to do. I suspect it's similar in Pennsylvania. Folks are voting because they know the issues are important and because they care about our country and the path our country takes. So while he may be out there spending millions of dollars, giving away millions of dollars because he can, I've found that a lot of voters engage because they care about the course of our nation.
If that's the case, Tom, why would Elon Musk need to go to such lengths to get people out to vote? I think it is a well-known fact, but that there are Americans who just are not interested in voting, and this is why in South Africa we call it a door-to-door. In America, it's called a you knock at the door to tell people to come out and vote. Why does it need to get to that if indeed voters were enthusiastic about participating?
So I would be a wealthy man if I could explain Elon Musk's motivations, and I can't. Oftentimes, folks in America are very busy with their own lives, you know, working a job or two, putting food on the table, helping the kids with their homework.
Yeah.
And so if we can help provide them with the information they need to register to vote first and then turn out to vote, knowing where their polling place is, what hours is it open? Could they vote early by mail or early in person?
Yeah.
Do they need to bring an ID? We provide that information in every precinct where we're running program to give people the tools to vote. Elon Musk is doing it with money. It's a different approach.
Final question, and it is probably going to be very crucial to understand whether this election will go down in history as the one that got the most or the bigger voter turnout than the other. Many commentators have been listening to saying that you simply cannot compare this election to any other in the past because of just how close it is. Voter turnout, do you think that this is going to be the one that tops all others?
Since 2018, we have seen increasing interest and participation in U.S. elections, and that's a very good thing. I am hopeful that today our election turnout matches or is higher than the 2020 election turnout. It's vital, and we want to make sure Americans' voices are heard. They know what's at stake, so I think voters are going to come out in high numbers.
Tom Lopach, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. It's
Thanks
good to be with
indeed.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Tom is the CEO and president of the Voter Participation Center. It's a non-partisan, essentially it's a political institution, and so they are on neither side of the divide. And that's how things are looking here, Naledi. And I'm sure as we go well into the night, people are watching this election very frantically, particularly for the two candidates. So we already know that Kamala Harris is here in Washington, D.C. She's going to be having a viewing party, if you will, at Howard University, and that's where she first started as a university student. Donald Trump, he is in Florida, and that's his home in Mar-a-Lago. We understand that there is going to be some viewing party for him as well, organized in a local center there. So very, very important election to watch, and I suspect we're going to be binging on coffee here, trying to keep awake. Naledi.